And I use just a TMC 100 hook for this, size 20. I tie them real small. Is that big enough? Can you see what I'm doing up there? And the thread I'm using is wood duck thread. It's UTC 70, same size, but it's kind of got a gingery color to it, like almost like golden stone color. And I'm going to tie in at the head. Then I'm going to use some pheasant tail. Same stuff you'd use on a pheasant tail nymph. And I'm going to clip about 6 fibers or so for the tails. I'm going to try to even those tips up as much as I can. You can see those tips are fairly even. I like to get them as even as possible. And I measure it on the hook shank to about the length I want and then pinch it off there. And then again, I'm doing this because I want to minimize the amount of wraps that I put on the body of this fly. There we go. Now I'm going to tie in a piece of very, very fine wire, extra small or small, in copper color. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that wire and measure out about the length of the hook shank so I don't have to clip it or cut it. And I'm going to tie it in on the side. I'm going to use just 2 wraps to secure it, just enough to hold it in place, because I'm going to tie in another material. This is holographic tinsel, medium size, and I like the copper color for my pheasant tails. And what this does is it adds flash to your fly without being somewhat unnatural. It's not really pearl colored. It actually imitates or matches the color of the fly to some degree, but still has flash. I just got turned on to this stuff about a year ago. I've been using it quite a bit. I tie some purple midges and other things with it. And I'm going to lay this on top of the fly.
You said that's copper colored?
Copper, yeah. They make it in all kinds of colors. They have green, gold, red, copper, green, or black, all kinds of stuff. And I just used 2 or 3 wraps to secure that into place. I'm going to take another chunk of pheasant tail, about the same amount, 6 clumps or so. And I'm going to tie these in with the tails facing forward. And I'm going to wrap everything forward.
You said that's pheasant tail?
Yep, just like the same stuff I used on the tail, and about the same amount, about 5 clumps. Now I'm going to take that pheasant tail and wrap it just like you would on a pheasant tail nymph. I'm going to wrap it forward, nice, uniform, and even body. You can start to bulk it up a little bit once you get to the head like this. Don't overdo it. And I capture it. Trim off those butt ends. Now what I'm going to do is take that copper tinsel, wrap it, or pull it right over the back.
So you're using it as a flash and not a flash.
Yep. And just capture it. Now I'm going to take my wire, and I wrapped my pheasant tail away from me. That's the most natural way for everybody to do it. I take my wire and I'm going to counter wrap it. I'm going to go underneath and come towards me. And what that'll do is it'll secure the pheasant tail. So if a piece of the pheasant tail does get broken, if you counter wrap it, it all won't come apart. Oopsie. Just hit my bobbin. So, and I'm going to pull it fairly tight. I really want to bite down into that flashback. And I do a fair amount of segmentation there. I like to get nice tight segmentation. I mean, I was able to fit 5 wraps in that short little size 20 fly. Then I just helicopter the wire off. I don't know if you can see, but it just has a little bit of flash, but not too much. I mean, it kind of matches the color of the fly. Then what I do is I take a plume of ostrich and ginger color, and that also closely matches the color of the fly. And what this does is it adds a little bit of movement to the fly. A lot of stoneflies have gills. I don't know if you've ever seen a seine sample of a stonefly, but they have, I mean, it looks almost exactly like this. They have little gills on their bodies. So this does a real good job of imitating that. So I'm going to tie it in with the butt facing forward. Just lay down a few wraps to secure it and come up to the eye. Now I'm just going to spin this on the front of the fly about 4 or so times. And don't worry about catching too much of it right here in the beginning. Break it off. Now what you do is you wet your fingers and stroke all that stuff back. You can see it's starting to lay back a little bit. Now once I get it stroked back, I pinch it, and I don't know if you can't quite see with the camera, but you can see how I got almost all of it stroked back, and you can just barely see the eye poking out. And that's where I lay down that wrap, and what this is going to do is I start wrapping backwards, and it's forcing all that material to lay back a little bit. And that's what I want. I want it to all lay back. I don't want it to be poofy. And then once you've done that, oops, you're pretty much done. All you have to do is just whip finish it. Like I said, I don't know exactly what they eat this for. My guess is a microstone. I mean, they could even be eating it for small betas. I think it's just buggy enough. Looks a lot like a pheasant tail, but looks different. It's almost like a micro soft hackle. I'll go ahead and pass this one around.